If you spend all day at a desk every day and you're starting to feel a little bit of lower back pain, this video is just for you. My name is Rich. I'm with RKAthletics. I've been a personal trainer for the last 12 years. In this video, I'm going to share a couple different tips and a couple different areas that I've helped work on with both myself and with clients previously who suffered from lower back pain, especially when being in a seated position for the majority of the day. Now, what we're going to be talking about can be commonly called lower cross syndrome. Now, there's been some recent videos I've watched that have kind of gone into how this isn't actually associating to lower back pain. However, these are possible solutions to solving lower back pain. When it comes to back pain and pain in general, it's never really a one fixed solution. A lot of times our body is a kinetic chain. So when one issue arises, it kind of leads to other issues. So with lower back pain, it can be anything from slipped disc, it could be poor posture, it could be poor foot mechanics. So whatever it might be, if you're suffering from lower back pain, make sure you go and check out a physiotherapist because they're going to be able to dig into your issue a lot deeper. However, with that being said, here are a couple different ways that we can help alleviate some lower back pain if we're spending all day at a desk. So the first place that we want to look at when we're looking at our seated position is our hip flexors. So these are muscles that are running down the front of our groin here, and they can play a huge role actually into our lower back. So like I said before, it's not necessarily just the lower back, it's also the muscles associated. So when we're sitting for long periods of time, we're in this position where our legs kind of at a 90-degree angle. Now when we're in this position for a long period of time, our hip flexors are in a very shortened position. So the longer we're in that position, the more our body kind of adapts to that. So if we're not being active enough as it is, once we stand up and start moving, there's probably going to be a little bit of tightness through these hip flexors. So what that causes is it causes a limited range in our hip extension. So when we're able to walk, or if we're trying to do any type of like deadlift motion, there might be some limited range of motion there. So what we want to do is we want to start to stretch and strengthen the hip flexor muscle. So for strengthening, we can do anything that's actually lifting our legs in front of us. Even sitting down and lifting your leg off the ground is an awesome exercise to do to strengthen the hip flexors. But we also want to lengthen the hip flexors as well. And there's no better stretch to do that in than the couch stretch. So when it comes to any type of stretching, what we want to look at is a contract and relax method. So what I mean by that is when we're in the actual stretch position, we want to think about actually squeezing our glutes. That's going to help stretch out the hip flexor just a little bit more. And that's going to help get deeper into that movement. Now, once we relax out of that movement, we want to try to get a little further into that range of motion, kind of see where our hip flexors will actually let us go. Once we've kind of reached a bit of our maximal capacity, we want to hold that again, and we want to contract again. So this is a variation of PNF stretching, which can be very effective for building range of motion. Now, if we just sit in a stretch, that is going to help out temporarily, but long term isn't going to lead to much adaptation. So we want to look at stretching through, or we want to look at strengthening through the length of the movement rather than just in one position. So it's not just the hip flexors alone that cause issues, but it actually comes up to the core as well. See, when hip flexors are tight, we're kind of lean forward a little bit more. As we extend back with our lower back, it actually extends through our core. So again, it kind of stretches it out and puts it into a weird position. And the core's primary function for the body is to actually take care of the spine. So if we have a weaker core and we're sitting all the time, it's pretty inactive. So we want to make sure that we're strengthening up our core with multiple different variations of exercises. We want to look at exercises that are going to focus on flexion, like your sit-ups. You want to focus on your extension, like back extensions. That's going to target the lower back a little bit more. Specifically, you want to look at rotational exercises going side to side, and you want to look at anti-rotational exercises to help brace that core, specifically if you're going to be doing a little bit more heavy lifting. So the last area I want to cover today is actually going to go to our posterior chain, and it's going to go to our glute. So when we're seated for long periods of time, you can see that our glute muscle is actually stretched out here. Now combine that with the fact that we're sitting down and we can't contract that glute, the glute doesn't get a lot of attention and it doesn't get a lot of strength throughout the day. So if we do this for long enough periods of time, our glutes actually lose strength, which is important for us to prevent lower back pain and to brace our core through exercises like walking, running, jumping, skating, biking, whatever it might be. So we really want to focus on strengthening up the glute if we're suffering from lower back pain. Now there's three different parts to the glute. We have our glute max, We have our glute mid and our glute min. So our min is the smallest, medius is the medium-sized one, and the maximus is the biggest size part of that. So we want to go through a different range of movement patterns to make sure that we're strengthening the glute from all angles. That can go from hip bridges to banded sidewalks. So strengthening up the glutes are definitely going to be one of the best ways that you can help lower your lower back pain, especially if you're seated on a regular basis. Now, as I mentioned at the start of this video, there are a number of different areas that lower back pain can come from. It can stem from a number of different dysfunctions within our body. In fact, our overall upper body posture can affect it. So if we're slouched for long periods of time, we want to bring our shoulders back. If our walking gait is off and we have a little bit more flat feet, it can affect our hips, or it can affect our knees, which affect our hips, which affect our lower back. So when it comes to your lower back pain, there's a number of different ways that you can address this. Some of my favorite ways that have helped me reduce my lower back pain is focusing on exercises such as hip extension, the 90-90 stretch, movement through the 90-90 stretch as well, and then just general core bracing, as I mentioned before. All the exercises that we've gone through today are excellent ones to add into your repertoire if you're looking to alleviate lower back pain. But as I mentioned before, make sure that you're going to see a physio for your specific issue so that they can target and make sure that you're getting rid of your lower back pain and you're not living a life debilitated by lower back pain and not doing the fun things that you want to be doing. So if you really like this video and you find value in it, make sure that you follow the page, make sure you give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and even share it with a friend. I hope that you got something out of this video, and until next time, guys, make sure that you live life to the fullest with RK Athletics.